I've gotten so good at clapping in a way that my hands are not touching for more than a 60th of a second. This is very important for synchronizing audio and video.
I want to give myself some applause. I let it linger.
Do you have to let it linger?
I do. I have to let it linger.
You have to? All right.
So when that song was new and I was young, I made the joke that clearly the song is about a fart. No, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's good jokes.
Let it linger. Are you talking about the Big Red commercial jingle? Let it linger a little longer with Big Red.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
That's clearly the reference. Yeah.
Let that stinker linger for longer. This is episode 240 of Insert Credit, a video game talk show featuring a panel of experts required by law to answer whatever questions I pose to them within the time allotted or suffer the indignity of a horrible buzzer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and my first role-playing game was Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan Densetsu for the Super Famicom.
Interesting.
I think we can all relate to that. My name is Frank Sfaldi. My first role-playing game was Fantasy Star 4, or whatever they call it here. I think it's Fantasy Star: The End of the Millennium.
It's Fantasy Star 4, The End of the Millennium, yeah.
Oh, the title screen doesn't have the 4 on it, though.
Yeah, but the box did.
Oh, it does. You're right. The reason I know that the title screen doesn't have it is I'm literally playing this game right now. Not right now, but like when I go home tonight and also last night. So that is my current game.
Game's a heck of a barn burner of a game, I would say.
It's a great one. It's one of those games where it's like, okay, do I only like this because it was my first, or is this actually good? It's like, no, this is actually a pretty hot game. I like it.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna go ahead and say it's the only good main Fantasy Star game. Just putting that out
for
there.
sure.
Just
absolutely, no doubt.
I deal with it, Fantasy Star fans. Everybody, come on, show up, come and get me. Fantasy Star Online, beautiful, wonderful. It's so nice. It's like this. I'm Tim Rogers, and my first role-playing game was Dragon Quest by Yuji Horii, with character designs by Akira Toriyama and music by a war crime denier for the Nintendo Famicom Family Computer System. However, I played it in the version known as Dragon Warrior for the Nintendo Entertainment System, which had a cover art not by Akira Toriyama and music by the same war crime denier and localization by a guy who worked at Medieval Times. So, thank you.
And I'm Brandon Sheffield, and my first role-playing game was certainly Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Treasure of Tarman on the 2600. It's not my fault that was my first one. It's just...
I thought you were going to say Katamari Damacy something like really stupid.
Role-playing game, yeah.
Something really, really bad.
I wasn't going to make a joke. That Treasure of Tarman, it was okay. I mean, but it was only my first RPG because my dad found a 2600 and like 30 cartridges at the thrift store for like $10 because nobody wanted them because it was 1990, I don't know, 8, 9, something like that.
I'm just going to be 100% real with you. That game's so bad that it doesn't count. So
the game's okay, but it's old. It's real old. It is what it is. That's the true answer. So nothing we can do about it. The weakest
sentence in the English language. It is what it is. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for that one.
Joining us this week for a very RPG-centric episode is Final Fantasy and JRPG Twitch and YouTube streamer and impeccable Tifa cosplayer, the Night Sky Prince.
Yes!
You've seen that, huh?
Of course. How could I not?
Awesome. I'm Ryan, also known as the Night Sky Prince, and my first RPG was Pokemon Blue.
Good one.
It was around the time, too, that I actually started playing FF7 and Quest 64, and I'm surprised I didn't quit RPGs after Quest 64, because...
Quest 64 is all right. No, it's bad, but...
I liked Quest 64. I didn't know better at the time.
It was bad, but like at the same time, I got like this sick enjoyment out of it.
Go back to it now. If you ever get a chance and you ever want to have a trip down memory lane, go back to Quest 64. And now that you have philosophically digested dozens, if not hundreds, of other RPGs, just go take a look at it and try to see the good in it.
Yeah.
And you will understand that perhaps it was a more positive influence on your ancient RPG history than you might think.
I love it, but I don't want to revisit it.
No, you can, dude. Do it in an emulator.
I feel like if I do,
and you can speed stuff up. It's got something to it. That's all. And I just want to say that it was guys like me who played Dragon Warrior on the NES. You have me to thank for Pokemon being released at all on the Game Boy. It was weirdos like me who played all the Dragon Warriors that made Nintendo, that entered Nintendo's market research, and they're like, all right, we'll give this weird game a shot for the kids of America.
You're a true patriot.
So I'm the true. I took the bullet. I played it not just before it was cool. I played it when it was not cool. So I played Dragon Warrior, and then they turned it into something cool.
So we've gone over the rules with Ryan before the show, but one thing I neglected to mention was that every one of these episodes has a winner, because I keep meticulous score of who's doing the best in each episode, and whoever wins gets the honor and privilege of the inaugural topic for the next episode. Our last winner was Brandon Sheffield. Hopefully he remembered to write something. What do you have for us?
I didn't, but then I looked at my phone where I have 2 documents that say insert credit question.
Nice.
And one of them, I'm not even sure what I meant by this, but let's find out. What is the play it again, Sam, of video games? Oh, I know what I mean by it. So play it again, Sam is a famous line that is not in Casablanca, but everyone thinks that it is. What is the that of video games?
I mean, not only is play it again, Sam, a line that is not in Casablanca, it is arguably the most famous line from Casablanca. Now, when you're talking about Casablanca, right? When you're specifically having a conversation about the film Casablanca, you might quote other dialogues from the movie. You might quote other lines, but outside, divorced, removed from any conversation about the movie Casablanca, you will hear the phrase "play it again, Sam" used for various effects, right? So it's not only a famous line and the most famous line and a line that's not in the movie. It's a line that has been somehow morphed and evolved and mutated outside of the movie.
Yeah, it has cultural significance outside of the movie, and is like it became some sort of an archetype for something, even though it doesn't exist.
I would just say it's Pac-Man, and I know this sounds like a dismissal, but Alex Jaffe aided me in compiling an exhaustive history of every reference to Pac-Man in mainstream media. The hackneyed phrase, "video games have come a long way since Pac-Man," gets quoted all the time in the mainstream press, most recently by none other than Norman Reedus, who said that the new Death Stranding, like Hideo Kojima's games, it's not just all Pac-Man anymore. He said in an interview apropos of The Walking Dead, the interviewer asked how his experience was working on video games, and he dared to say of literally Death Stranding, arguably the most labyrinthine and bizarre video game yet concocted by those game designers, wily game mavens worldwide, arguably the weirdest game. He literally brushed off describing Death Stranding with by just saying, "Oh, video games aren't just Pac-Man anymore," right? And it's like, wow, that's all you have to say about Death Stranding, that video games aren't just Pac-Man anymore? In other words, what does the mainstream actually think Pac-Man is?
But Pac-Man does exist, so I
does.
feel like that's the...
But does it exist on such a Mona Lisa level that we have to keep invoking it as the stand-in for video games?
They also throw Pong in there.
Yeah, no. We did the research, Brandon. Here your ignorance of what I do for a living is on full blast. We did Pac-Man is definitely by an enormous margin the one that is brought up the most. It's definitely Pac-Man. Why not Super Mario Brothers is what I'm saying, right? Do people in the mainstream assume that Pac-Man is like on the level of Super Mario Brothers in terms of complexity? That's what I'm saying.
Well, also, video games may not have come a long way since Super Mario Brothers, it could be argued.
Oh, that's right. I mean, I argued it. I argued for about 3 hours that video games have not come anywhere since Pac-Man, is what my Pac-Man review is about. Don't watch it if you're listening to this show, though.
If I could take a slightly different approach, I think maybe the play it against Sam of video games is the idea that blowing into cartridges makes them work better.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
It's just this very universal idea when it comes to video games that has no bearing on reality at all.
And it is also very frequently referenced in popular culture.
Exactly.
As like a wink, wink, nod, nod, we see you kind of thing.
I thought the explanation was that on the NES specifically, the spring mechanism makes contact difficult, and the condensation from your breath actually bridges the connection.
Yeah, but is that true?
Could be.
That is my understanding of why it seems to work, but it might just be a wild theory. Anyway, I mean, I'm thinking about how that's a line from the movie, but it's not, right? And it's the literal one that comes to mind for me is how we all think Mario said. Bush did 9/11 in Mario 64, and I don't think he's actually in that game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He never did.
No, me and Alex Jaffe, we looked on Wikipedia, and it says that he doesn't say it, but everyone continues to say he does.
All right, it's weird.
You know what he actually says? I actually have it on my soundboard here. Hold on. Hang on a second. He says... There you go. That's what he says.
It doesn't sound anything like it.
Yeah, I don't know how people get Bush did 9/11 from that.
They slow it down. They're slowing it down and reversing it. So yeah, like that.
Oh, wow, that actually does sound like it.
Prince, what do you think?
Did Bush do 9/11 or?
Yes, that's my question. Did Bush do 9/11?
Wow, I'm getting put on the spot with it, but I'm gonna go have to say, yeah, he did.
Thank you.
When you look at the number of YouTube search results that fall on the side yes versus no, it seems like the answer is a clear yes.
Yeah. Everyone has general consensus.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He's a lizard person, and he did 9/11, right?
He's a lizard.
Is that what it is?
He's the same species as like Mark Zuckerberg. They're all the same.
Is that glorious reptilians thing? Is that still a thing? People still talk about that.
Man. They all live in in the core of the planet, the lizard man,
where it's still warm.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty warm on the surface of the planet these days.
Yeah, it's where it's headed. It's getting warmer out there. I had to go to the dermatologist's office this morning, and they specifically said, "Don't wear sunscreen." So I ended up wearing a jacket. Right, because I didn't want to get sunburn. They said, "Don't wear sunscreen on your arms and legs. The face is okay." So I wore a jacket, and it was real hot out there in the jacket. That story doesn't go anywhere.
Where's the sound effect of Mario burning himself in lava and going ha 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 ha? Because that should go here, right?
No,
Yeah,
he actually just says.
All right.
He just says that.
Here's our next topic. What would make Final Fantasy XVI not just the best game in the series, but a game that even Frank and Brandon would want to play immediately?
Shoot!
Well, I know the answer to this question.
Hey, wait. I played through 15, my friend.
Yeah.
But did you play it when it came out? Like right then?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to admit, I played Final Fantasy I when it came out, and I didn't play Final Fantasy 15 until it had been out for like 4 years.
I have platinumed one video game on the PlayStation
And it's Final Fantasy 15?
console, and it's Final Fantasy 15. So what would get me to play Final Fantasy 16 right when it comes out is for it to be Final Fantasy 15-2, and it's starring all the lady characters this time, and you're just going around doing dumb quests and a bunch of nonsense, and there's no main story.
Yeah. So you're saying Final Fantasy X too? Is what you're saying with the Final Fantasy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Night Sky Prince, I'm going to apologize for a moment on the behalf of my colleague Brandon Sheffield, who was going to tell you that Final Fantasy 15 is his favorite Final Fantasy because since playing Final Fantasy 15, he loves to tell anyone who is having any conversation tangentially related to the video game series Final Fantasy as created by Hironobu Sakaguchi.
I mean, this is not tangential. This is directly related, would you not say?
No, I'm saying tangential. You'll come in with a tangential reason. So you now have a full blast reason to talk about why Final Fantasy 15 is your favorite Final Fantasy. And I don't doubt him. I don't doubt that Final Fantasy 15 is Brandon Sheffield's favorite Final Fantasy. But I know that he, like me, spent a long period of his life, just as I did, I'm lumping myself in this category as well, spent a long period of his life never deigning to engage in good faith with anything unless he felt like he could pawn it off as his having discovered it, right? We've been through that phase.
Sure.
Brandon was in that phase during basically the glory years of Final Fantasy. So during Final Fantasies 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. You were a guy who played Sega or whatever, and
I played Final Fantasy VII at the time.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Did you post about it on the internet though?
I did
Probably not.
I did not.
I posted about it, bro. I was posting. I was posting.
Wait, where are you posting
Oh my
on like
God.
GameFAQs?
Anyway,
The answer is more Hangout stuff.
so
That's it.
okay, so I know Night Sky Prince knows everything about Final Fantasy 16. Right?
I know a little bit.
I have refused to dig too deep into the trailer. I watched it 4 times and then I closed the tab. Well, I mean, I watched it on my TV.
Just 4 times.
I watched that 4K
Just
trailer.
4 times.
Yeah, 4 times. Then I was like, I'm not going to watch it anymore. I don't want to obsess over it. I did put it in Adobe Premiere and watch it there frame by frame just once.
Just once.
But I wouldn't bring myself to go too bonkers on it. It looks real good. So the question here is, what would make it a game that, let's not even just say Brandon and Frank, they both played Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, so they're on board. What would make 16 the best game in the series?
So I mean,
man.
for us, we need Hangout stuff. But I think the thing is with this trailer that's out right now, it's all like, I can't get anything from it because it's all the like yelling the story kind of
The story
trailer.
stuff, yeah.
And when you yell a story at me, I'm like, I'm just gonna wait until I can look at it. Little bites of story don't do anything for me.
Right.
If you go back and look at those Final Fantasy 15 trailers, they too were
Indeed.
right up until that big gameplay reveal they did. That revealed you have a car and you can cook food at campfires. It was just kind of a lot of screaming as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was.
And I kind of feel like they did show off some of the wrong stuff in 16 trailer. Don't get me wrong, it's a phenomenal trailer. I think that they probably would have been better off if they showed off a little bit more combat and exploration, because I think those are the kind of the points that people are a lot more curious about than the story stuff.
What do I do?
Yeah, people want to know if it's open world, don't they?
Right.
What I've been able to discern from it, and I know that there's a lot of people coming out swinging in bad faith, usually
A lot, yeah.
saying that it looks like they're trying to make The Witcher 3. Now, I know for a fact that every single JRPG designer working in Japan loves The Witcher 3, and they talk about it constantly at all of their meetings. And I mean, you could even see it a little bit in Final Fantasy 15, weirdly enough.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And you can see a lot of it in Final Fantasy VII Remake. It looks like Yoshi P knows what's good about The Witcher 3, but also knows what's good about Final Fantasy 14. And where do you stand? He obviously knows what's good about Final Fantasy 14. Where do you stand, Night Sky Prince, on the is it a single character? Because it looks like it's a one character
Yeah,
game,
it looks
right?
like it's single character, no party members, which on the Final Fantasy side of things, a lot of people have been freaking out, right? Because Final
That's huge.
Fantasy tradition is always, at least 4 playable characters. I think
always, yeah.
Right. And so this is like the first time that we've ever, at least in a mainline game, some of the spin-offs we've had like one character like Crisis Core or Lightning Returns. This is the first time in a mainline game where we've only had one playable character. And personally, I'm actually really okay with it.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I thought I wouldn't be at first, but the more I've thought about it, the more I'm okay with it, right? So in Final Fantasy XIV, you have like the scions of like the Seventh Dawn, right? Who serve as like your story party members. They actually do become playable party members, like Shadowbringers onward.
Yeah.
And you can actually go into dungeons and trials and stuff with them. But before that, they were literally just story-based party members or comrades, and it worked just fine there. And then another thing is that this is an action game, right? And in action RPGs, you have like 2 choices as a game designer, right? You either make AI party members too smart and all the challenges removed from the game.
You get that Call of Duty effect where your guys are killing everybody before you can even get in there.
Right. Or the other alternative is that you make them really dumb. And you make them so dumb that you have to carry all the weight. But then they feel pointless.
Man, I love Final Fantasy VII Remake so much, but those party members don't do nothing.
Right, exactly.
They are so stupid. And it's like, the more you think about the game, it's like they don't even do like real-time strategy unit level of artificial intelligence.
Right.
They're just dumb as heck.
And by the way, that game probably does it the best.
Yeah, weird, huh?
That's the best situation.
So Brandon, did you know that the combat designer of Devil May Cry 5 is the combat designer of Final Fantasy 16?
I heard about that, and that's definitely something that that's a check in the negative for me.
Oh, really? Wait, you didn't like Devil May Cry 5?
I haven't liked any Devil May Cries.
Oh, well, you should try Devil May Cry 5, which is a different one, if you get a chance to.
It is a different one. I mean, I looked at it and I thought, I don't think I'm going to like this. And I didn't try it, but I could try it.
There's a guy who I described in my video as he looks like somebody poured half of Adam Driver out on a supermarket floor. Is one of the main characters. I don't know what that means.
We're out of time on this one.
Also,
we can't be out of...
we did not answer the question of why would Frank or I like it. So,
because you played Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, we answered that one real quick. That you're already onboarded to the Final Fantasy.
You got to see
series.
Hangouts. You got to see a scene that lets you.
Yes.
Go take a bro out to dinner.
Yeah, there's got to be some bros hanging out, and they got to tell me to bring a jacket, or that I should take my jacket off because it's too hot. One of those things has to happen.
You should have like an old army buddy that you can meet at like a tavern, and you can eat like a big, delicious looking lentil soup. With like a delicious
Somebody tells
looking,
you how good cup noodle is.
Yeah, delicious looking like sort of rye bread.
I need
and
nonsense.
You're drinking like a big earthenware cup full of like hibiscus tea, and it's giving you like level up bonuses. Is that what you need? Because it is more of a dark medieval fantasy story.
Yeah, we'll see.
So it has to be. Lentil soup.
What are some RPG mechanics from a bygone age which you'd like to see make a comeback?
Oh, man.
Well, I would like to see single character party from Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest 1 come back. Did you know Final Fantasy's whole thing was, we're going to make Dragon Quest, but it's going to be 4 characters. They weren't even thinking of Ultima. They were just thinking, let's make Dragon Quest with 4 characters. And I thought that then Dragon Quest went on to having 3 characters and then 4 characters. I would love to see some more RPGs that have 1 character. I mean, The Witcher 3 kind of counts, but Final Fantasy 16 is 1 character.
I guess you mean non-action RPGs.
It's very rare for a JRPG, right? Like, JRPGs don't normally do that. They're about, like, the big...
Yeah, I know.
The group.
I mean, the Shin Megami Tensei games are ostensibly single character.
That's
they
true.
have one.
They've got the demons, though. You got the demons.
Yeah, but they're not really characters. They're sort of a party, but they're almost like your spells in a way.
Yeah.
It's nebulous.
Yeah.
Though, yeah. I mean, I guess Elden Ring, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, those are kind of single party member JRPGs.
Those are action RPGs, so.
Yeah, but I would, having played as much, I haven't beaten Elden Ring yet. Nightscape Prince, did you beat Elden Ring?
No, I'm like 70 hours into it, and I had to like take a break.
Oh yeah, it's a bit exhausting. I think after I played a whole bunch and then restarted with a different character and got right up to where I had been during the first playthrough in a fraction of the time, I feel like I've decided it's more of an RPG than an action RPG, because the knowing stuff takes you farther than being good at it, you know?
I agree.
Just throwing that out there. I remember when Final Fantasy VII made its debut on the pages of like Die Hard Game Fan magazine for us here in the West. And I remember seeing people on the internet message boards on AOL and whatnot. They were on fire with hatred at the fact that it looked like it only had 3 party members. They were just so mad because 6 had 4, 5 had 4. Nobody was mad that 4 had 5. And then it had gone down to 4 after that. I thought 5 was a good number.
How did they react to like it going from like castles to like skyscrapers? That's what I want to know.
Oh yeah, they were weirdly positive about that.
Interesting.
They were weird. There were a couple people who were very, very, very upset that it was no longer a fantasy setting. And there were even some people upset that it wasn't fully 3D like Super Mario 64. There were some people upset about that.
Wow.
But by and large, the party size was the thing that I feel like, I mean, given just the persnickety nature of the RPG fan in general throughout history, it was somehow the party size that they latched onto to get mad at. In my recollection, anyway. So that's funny.
That is insanely weird. Like 3 party, like being like the trigger point for some people. But I guess that does make sense though, because I guess they're thinking in terms of like the large party dynamic. And I guess when you have different jobs, the job dynamic would make sense. But like, I guess they weren't thinking in the mind of how 7 would shake things up in terms of its materia system, allowing that to be dished.
The materia system was everything. Yeah.
Right. So that kind of fixed the criticism of the party members.
Bigger parties or smaller parties? Let's do it.
If I were to have like a feature come back from like a bygone JRPG era, like this kind of just came to me.
Yeah.
I think it's the world map, man. It's the world map for me.
I do miss the world
like,
map.
What was so great is that recently I like kind of binged through like the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, and I was really thinking hard on what was it that made these games so special back then. And it's that the world map itself was a progression system, right? And so it starts out, and you're just in like this really small chunk of the world, and that's all that you can, you have like 2 different places you can go. And as you play through the game, you get more and more things available to you. You get vehicles, you get an airship, you get a boat, and then there's all these traversal options available to you. And before you know it, it's like you've unlocked the whole world. And the world itself was almost...
when you get the airship.
Right. And like the world itself was like a puzzle, right? And like eventually all those puzzle pieces came together, and it was like you had dominion over like this entire place, and you can go anywhere and do anything. And so it's even funny when people have the debate about like, were older Final Fantasy games like linear, or was that like the like beginnings of like an open world? And in truth, it was actually kind of both, right? Like it starts off super linear, and then by the end, you do have like this massive world that you can go anywhere and do anything.
Man, I saw that Final Fantasy IV on like the Steam forums. For some reason, I was looking at that a couple of weeks ago on the Pixel Remaster, and someone in the message board on there was like, "Is this game open world or is it linear?" And I was like, "What?" I've never encountered that question Final Fantasy IV, and it made me feel really weird because I was like, that wasn't something we thought about back then. I can see why you would think about that now. Right. But it was just very strange to be like describing Final Fantasy IV as open world or linear. It was a compelling question, to say the least.
Almost because you didn't have to, right? Because of what I mentioned about like funneling outward.
4 does a hilariously good job of making you feel like you own the whole world and then giving you like another world that you then have to progress through. I thought that was real good. Okay.
This next one I'm going to give us 12 minutes for. You've been assigned to rename creative business units 1 through 4 for Square Enix.
Oh my god.
To better represent the types of games they develop. I'm dropping a cheat sheet for which studios have developed which games in the chat to help you make your decision.
Creative Business Unit. Okay, yeah, because people don't like the name of the video game studio, Creative Business Unit 3.
I do.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, we love R&D number 1 at Nintendo, right? We love that one.
Yeah.
Right? We love that one.
Because it's number 1.
I like AM2.
AM2. What does that stand for? Amusement Machines 2?
Yes.
Clinical names are actually pretty good. I think their logo's not super great, the typography for Creative Business Unit 3. So Creative Business Unit 3, they make goddarned
14 and 16.
Final Fantasy 14, yeah. 14 and 16.
And Builders.
Yeah, and yeah, they do, don't they? Dragon Quest Builders, yeah. Oh man, 14 is one of the best games ever made, and I've barely played half of it or a third of it at this point.
Where are you at, by the way, in 14?
I'll tell you later. I don't want anybody. If I were to mention where I'm at, I would suddenly get people yelling at me on my messages, asking if they can join my party or provide me with some delicious items to help. But we're trying to get through the game completely in the dark. So in other words, not very far. It's quite difficult, especially to find the time these days. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure.
But what a beautiful game. Creative Business Unit 3 is a pretty weak name. So wait, okay, Creative Business Unit 4 is the Mana series?
That's right.
Yeah, they pretty much just focus on that. That's like all they do.
Creative Business Unit 1 is Yoshinori Kitase, Final Fantasy, Saga, and Kingdom Hearts. Right. Shoot.
And Twewy.
Yeah, and Twewy.
Right. So that's like your legacy business unit. That's like the OGs.
Yeah, Yoshinori Kitase he's the man. What can we say, right?
So I don't want to give them just completely unique names each. I think there's something tying them together, and it might be 1 through 4 still.
Yeah.
Or some kind of progression of importance, even, right? Like platinum, gold, silver, bronze, or something, right? But I don't want to just give them their own unique names. I think it has to show a progression or hierarchy or something.
But I think the name should also express their identity. We're trying to...
Sure.
Yeah.
Creative Business Unit 2 developed Gunslinger Stratos, which is awesome. Oh, and Creative Business Unit 2, I believe, comprises the former Business Division 6. So that's to their credit.
Maybe one way you could tie them all together
They're the near people.
Is to like name them after like summons, right? Because Creative Business Unit 3 is really big on Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like the Phoenix is like their logo, even like if you look at it. Actually, it's like a chocobo and a phoenix combined if you look at it, because the head's shaped like a chocobo, but like the rest of it is like supposed to be a phoenix.
They call it Red Chocobo Studios.
Yeah, Red Phoenix Chocobo.
Oh my God, Fire Chocobo Studios.
Yeah.
That's horrible. That actually sounds bad because, how are you going to sell Grandma on that? You can't sell Grandma on creative business. We're talking about We're basically trying to sell them to Grandma. Is that what we're doing here?
And like Creative Business Unit 3 is the only one with a logo too. The rest of them don't have logos.
Yeah, they don't. Because Creative Business Unit 3 has ever since they basically remade, resculpted, rescoped Final Fantasy XIV. They've just come to be known as this team of legendary video game smiths, right?
Right.
Like they've just been working on one game for like 10 years, right? Like they've just been working on the one game, and they've built this incredible like full library of contributions to video game history in one project. And Final Fantasy XVI is going to be basically their second thing, so that's kind of exciting.
Well, a lot of the team does come from like FF12, so a lot of FF12 staff is part of CVU3.
Yeah. I don't know. I keep thinking of names, and then it just keeps sounding too much like other video game studios. Like, I mean, you could just call them like Square blank, but it just doesn't seem right. It seems weird to play a Dragon Quest game and not have the Enix logo at the beginning.
Okay, I've got
All
one.
right, what do you got?
Okay.
In order of 1 through 4. Okay.
Let's do it.
Huey, Dewey, Louie, the News.
Oh, the News. Yeah, the Mana Studio would be the News.
Yeah.
They should just call Creative Business Unit 4 Mana Studios. That sounds bad, too.
I thought that one of these was going to be run by Nomura, and then that one you could just call Zen Mall, because that's what all his...
Zen Mall, a good Japanese fashion reference.
No, he actually like floats between business units and does a bunch of stuff, but now he's primarily Creative Business Unit 1 nowadays, but he used to like float between all of them.
You can't escape Nomura.
Oh, well, that's good they got him confined a little bit, because, I mean, there's enough belts.
They locked him in one very large building, yeah. They
You got to
him.
secure the perimeter.
Yeah, he's got everything he needs in there. he's all right in there. I don't know. I like Tetsuya Nomura. Guy's hilarious. Come on. Guy's hilarious. Just call Creative Business Unit 1 the House of Nomura. Nomura's house. Call it that.
Oh, how about we call it Nomura Heroes?
Nomura Heroes. Yeah, there you go.
Zippers Inc.
Zippers Incorporated.
Yeah.
Well, by international business law, it is illegal to put an ink on something that's not actually incorporated.
All right.
That's not true. That's not true. Or is it? We'll find
It
out
should just
soon.
be Ink with a K.
Oh, yeah, Zippers Inc.
CVU2 is Dragon Quest and Nier and Bravely.
Oh, and their arcade games, Lord of Vermilion and Gunslinger Stratos.
I think 2 is probably the one that I like the most.
I think 2 should be Square Enix because of the Dragon Quest.
You know, I really just do think they should call Creative Business Unit 2 Enix.
Yeah.
Because
I like that.
I think they should just call it Enix. Because, let me explain, the nicest thing I can say about Nier, famously having not played Nier, played every Cavia game except Nier. I'm ready to play Nier. I'm going to do it soon. Don't worry. Stop yelling at me, everyone, in the email. I will play Nier soon. The nicest thing I can say about Nier is what I know about it, what I have played. That's an Enix game, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the world's biggest Dragon Quest fan, or at least America's biggest Dragon Quest fan. Fight me for it if you think you're a bigger Dragon Quest fan. I'm the biggest Dragon Quest fan that I know, and I think that Nier feels like an Enix game. And also, there's some bad Enix games. Okay, I'm willing to admit it. There's some bad ones. Evo: The Search for Eden, not a very good game. Robotrek, not a very good game. I love them, and I feel like calling Creative Business Unit 2 Enix would lower people's expectations for games like Octopath Traveler. So that's a wrong button. It would lower people's expectations for Octopath Traveler, which certainly would have been a much better game had my expectations been lowered by them calling it an Enix product.
What were we settled on 3?
Final Fantasy Studios.
I think that's Phoenix Studios.
So we've got Enix Studios and we've got Phoenix Studios.
All right, I'm liking it.
I like this.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
And then the last one, Squeenix Studios again.
Oh, Squeenix. No, wait, okay, 4 Mana, something Mana related that would also rhyme with Enix. No, it would be Phoenix, but it would be spelled Phenix.
Manenix.
Manenix.
Manix.
No, Maniac Studios. Well, that sounds like they would make a sort of a Joker video game.
Why not?
Oh, there's gonna be one day, isn't there? Oh, yeah.
Joker Studios. I feel like there's so many video game
No,
studios.
Joker video game. I mean.
There will be.
sure.
Yeah, there will be.
Yeah.
It'll be made by Joker Studios. I feel like there are so many video game names. Like when I'm trying to come up with names, it's like there are so many video game studio names that just sound like they're inspired by, if not Final Fantasy games like Final Fantasy, right? So it's like it would be hard for, obviously Square Enix would never want to do something so cute as to name one of their studios after something from Final Fantasy, right? I don't know.
They did have like this, like, I guess it was like a cloud technology thing once, and it was called like Shinra.
Called
Yeah, it's
Shinra.
called like Shinra Technologies.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And
wow.
it was, and Shinra Technologies was being used literally by Avalanche Studios. So that's that makes no sense if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan. If you're unfamiliar, Avalanche is everybody listening that's the rebellion group that's trying to destroy Shinra. So that's why Shinra Technologies doesn't exist and why Square Enix doesn't own Avalanche anymore. So what's something famous from the Mana series? Is there anything famous, like any individual element famous? Rabite, is that the name of the enemy type? Call Creative Business Unit 4 Rabite Factory. There you go.
I want to revisit number 1, that we have Phoenix and we have Enix.
Mushboom Interactive.
Creative Business Unit number 1, because we've got Nomura there trying to manipulate our emotions by
With belts.
tapping into our nostalgia for Disney and Final Fantasy. That should be Kleenex Studios.
Oh, Kleenex. I don't know about tapping into mine. I don't have no Disney-related nostalgia whatsoever. I tune in for the Lynchian madness of it all, man. Kingdom Hearts is hilarious. I love it.
I do not.
I don't care about no Disney.
Well, I think we've landed somewhere pretty good for all of these, but
Huey,
What-
Dewey, Louie in the news. Yeah.
exactly. Frank, you're ahead so far on this podcast, but we'll see how it goes in the second half. We'll be right back
No.
after a quick break.
I don't care what anybody says. That new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game looks pretty good. It's got a really cute tiny little April sprite.
Yeah, it's got April in there. It's got Splinter in there. It's got Casey Jones in there.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Yeah, the April sprite's great. All the sprite work is amazing.
It just looks good. Good visual feel, good vibe to it. I don't know. There are people that think that engaging with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle project means that you are like engaging in nostalgia baiting and all that kind of stuff, but I don't care. Just don't care. It looks cute.
It's beautiful work.
And I like stuff that
I
looks
miss that kind of cute sprites in video games. I miss sprites.
cute. We got sprites.
Welcome back to Insert Credit. It's time for us to go to the dirt bag. This is the point where we take a question submitted by one of our subscribers to patreon.com/insertcredit, where for just $3 a month, you can get access to the forum, which allows you to submit these very questions. You can also get monthly bonus episodes and other exclusive, fun little treats that we prepare for you scattered throughout the year. You'll just have to subscribe to find out what they are. This question comes from MoxBagel, who asks,
I know that guy. What's up? What's up, bud? How you doing? How you doing, buddy?
MoxBagel asks, if Chunsoft had continued to make all 11 main Dragon Quests, how would they be different?
Oh, well, they would probably not be too different because it's all about Yuji Horii. And Yuji Horii, beautiful man. Just definitely, I think we can all agree that he's a beautiful man who has never denied war crimes in public.
Right.
Right?
Of course.
Not by my recollection, So
You win.
Yuji Horii, you win as far as that all goes. On the other hand, he also does not have a beautiful collection of vintage Italian motorcycles like Akira Toriyama does. So he's the second coolest Dragon Quest developer, IMO. Yuji Horii was the man who pushed them to create. He was the captain of the ship, as it were, and they went into another direction and they made a mystery dungeon, Fushigi no Dungeon, which is structurally, stylistically different from a Dragon Quest game, and it became one of their earlier hallmarks. However, that was also Yuji Horii's idea, and it starred Torneko from Dragon Quest IV. So Torneko from Dragon Quest IV is the modern godfather of the modern roguelike renaissance, in a way.
Wouldn't you say it might get it'd be a little more systemically complex if Chunsoft were still in charge of it?
I don't know, man. Because Yuji Horii, the level 5 made Dragon Quest VIII, and it wasn't a level 5 game. It was 3D. I think Chunsoft would be working in Unreal 5, and they'd be probably. I mean, the Chunsoft has their people. You know, they have beautiful people over there who make all manner of different games. Maybe they would have never courted or cultivated those people, or cultivated that sort of talent pool, were they saddled onto Dragon Quest, were they just the Dragon Quest developer forever. Maybe they would have never become the famous makers of sound novels.
I guess it's more likely that Chunsoft would be different if they had kept making Dragon Quest, rather than if Dragon Quest would be different. Continuing under Chunsoft.
That's my theory. There is an oft recycled, regurgitated criticism of the Dragon Quest series that it does not evolve or change or grow or learn or there's never any big advancements on it. But I think now the opinion has grown into fashion that we can say that Dragon Quest is old-fashioned, but it was good. It was always good. It's they've done a lot with remarkably few tweaks to the formula. Just quality of life stuff. You no longer have to open a menu before talking to somebody, right? Like you no longer have to open a menu and choose door to open a door. It was just a context-sensitive button. Like aside from that, nothing has really changed in Dragon Quest, and that's beautiful. And you go back to those old games, and they're still perfect. There's nothing wrong with any old Dragon Quest game. I can't believe it. Every time I go back to an old one, I'm just like, oh, these are still good. So what I'm saying is, Yuji Horii had the plan all the way back then. I'm pretty sure, charismatic man that he is, and also, people get along with him. They like talking to him because he doesn't deny war crimes in public, right?
Right, exactly
loudly over and over again for periods of years until eventually dying with his music rights clutched in his craven, shrunken, dried, weird, bony hands.
Miserly hands.
That's Sugiyama, in case nobody's aware of
his
that.
Weird, miserly, bony hand. Yeah, he's in league with Jazz Rack and whatnot. Yuji Horii has just always been what I assume, everything I've ever heard about him from every person I've ever talked to who has worked with him or in his vicinity. He's just the most beautiful dude to work with. So I feel like if he had just taken Chunsoft as his ship, if he had just become captain of Chunsoft, they would just be Yuji Horii's house.
Horii's house.
And they wouldn't even have their name anymore. They would have just been subsumed.
I mean, it's not very interesting, but one thing that would have happened is that the Spike Chunsoft merger would probably not have occurred, or if it did, it would create a really weird situation. But that's not an interesting answer.
Enix Chunsoft, and then they would have become Creative Business Unit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they might not have gotten involved with Square. I guess that's a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the team at Chunsoft would have enabled them to make bigger and better Dragon Quest games. And they would have been able to work on them more dedicatedly, and they would have cranked out a couple more. 7 wouldn't have been 4 years later than 3 years later than Final Fantasy VII. They were supposed to come out around the same time, and it ended up with 3 years of development. Heck, maybe having a dedicated workforce on those games. I don't think that would have helped. I don't know. There's a whole lot of urban legends and urban myths and whatnot surrounding all of that. Difficult question, to be sure.
I think we got around a bunch of the answers, though.
Chunsoft is beautiful, aren't they?
In their own way.
They make all those games about just chilling. Okay, that's not really... I wouldn't describe them as guys who make games about just chilling.
Well, you only have 5 seconds to refute that.
Chilling, killing, dying, hiding, sneaking, escaping, and Kama Itachi no Yoru.
Right.
And Furai no Shiren, right? We know those guys, right?
Is the practice of grinding a fundamental flaw in RPGs, or can it be additive to the game experience?
Ooh.
I know how you're going to answer this one.
I'm going to tell you what about grinding. I like grinding because it lets you just hang out with your dudes, right? But not everyone has the same standard of, not everyone enjoys hanging out with their dudes by grinding, right? But Brandon Sheffield loves hanging out with his dudes in Final Fantasy 15. I feel like there is a way to make the people love grinding that is not just, Destiny 2, try to get your rare drops, redo your raids or whatever, right? I feel like there's a way to, somewhere between a Dragon Quest grind and a Final Fantasy 15 cook a recipe at a campfire. I feel like grinding is the key.
Yeah, I mean, I think grinding can be used in an interesting way. This isn't about grinding, but I've said this on the show before that quite often when I'm doing something like waiting on hold or talking to my mom or whatever kind of stuff on the phone, it's a good opportunity to grind. It makes you feel like you're doing another thing while you're doing this other thing, and that's pretty good. But to what Tim was saying, I feel like a game like Loop Hero shows how grinding can be fun or enjoyable or dopamine inducing, because that game is pretty much almost all going around and doing battles and leveling up, and that's all you're doing. But you are making specific choices in between the battles that make the next battle more interesting. That's the key to making grinding more interesting, is that you just have things happen faster. Like grinding in half-minute hero, 30-second hero, that's how you advance and get more time and get to the end of the game and stuff. You have to be grinding, but the grind is interesting and engaging because it's the vector of progress. So I think there's definitely ways to do it. I feel like in a game where you can't see the enemies and every couple steps you wind up in a battle, that is a problem because there's no agency for you. You don't get to decide, okay, I'm going to go do this now. And I think the elements for me that are important are agency. I can decide that I want to go and grind. I'm interested in doing it. And then variability, so that you get new stuff while you're grinding, or at least have important choices to make while you're grinding, so that it doesn't just become a slog. And then once you got those things, I think it's got a perfectly fine place in video games.
Yeah. I really like grinding in Final Fantasy XIV, right? Because first of all, to play through the story itself, you don't have to grind, right? Because your main job, just playing through the story, will take you from level 1 to 90, right? All the way through the cap. But of course, no one wants just one job. They want you to play all the other jobs too. And the game encourages that. And obviously, you as a player want to experience the other jobs as well. And one of the ways they get you to do that is that they have a whole host of side activities that you can do that also give experience points. So you can technically grind from playing PvP. So if you want to sit and play PvP matches all day, and the new revamped PvP they've done is really good and so addictive. So you can sit there and do PvP, and that's what I did to level my Dragoon to 90. Or you can also go and do something like Basha, which was actually written by Yatsumi Matsuno, right? So you have this whole little Evilise thing that you can go do and experience, and you can get experience from that. Or you can do roulettes, which is you do a random dungeon or a random boss fight that you've already done, and you do it again, and then you get experience points from that. And so there is a number of different options there for you to grind and for you to get your jobs higher level that encourage you to go and interact with the parts of the game that you want to do anyway. So if I don't want to grind and I want to play PvP, it doesn't matter because I'm still getting experience points from going and playing that PvP that then goes back into me leveling that job that I want to level, right? I didn't have the intention of leveling Dragoon to level 90 whenever I stepped foot into PvP. I just wanted to play PvP. But the consequence is that I accumulated so much experience from playing it as Dragoon that I hit level 90, right? So that's also a way in which you can make grinding really interesting.
For me, grinding in Final Fantasy XIV is fun because I do it while talking to my buddies. In like talking to, just literally hanging out with real friends, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It gives you something to do while you're just hanging out.
Yeah.
And you're doing something together and you're talking, and it becomes automatic past a certain point, and then you feel like you're getting something done, even if you're not, even if you're just sitting around on a Saturday afternoon.
Right.
You feel like you're getting stuff done in your life.
Right.
I think tying the stuff to story helps a lot in those kinds of scenarios. And it doesn't always wind up, some of the stuff you were describing, Ryan, doesn't exactly sound like grinding to me because it's, I feel like a grind tends to be repetitive, and PvP is of course varied because you're playing against real humans and stuff, but
different people.
Right.
It gives you that kind of little dopamine hit or whatever. And I think for me, another thing that does that is if there's story behind it, or if there's some kind of clear goal that is something other than just my level goes up, and if my level is not high enough, I can't beat this boss. So there's definitely something in there.
I think we're looking at right now in video games, especially RPGs, games like Yakuza and whatnot, grinding, gaining levels, gaining experience, unlocking techniques is always awarded as like a result for doing something that you wanted to do anyway. Whereas in ancient times, grinding was there's a dungeon you have to go to, you're stuck in this area. Like in Final Fantasy IV, when you do the Tower of Zot for the first time, it's like if you get on your airship, it takes you straight to this tower, you've got to do it. So you're stuck grinding in this one little forest region. And it's like, if you want to level up to beat this boss, you have to fight monsters right here outside this town and go into stay at the inn if you get hurt, right? And it's like, there's nothing else you can do but grind. I mean, you can obviously get through it without grinding if you're a real pro, but if you feel compelled to grind. So grinding is colloquially, you have to do it right now. And you've got to sit here mindlessly for hours. I feel like games now don't really have that. I don't feel like any game I can remember has had that in a very long time. And that's me being very optimistic.
Yeah,
and
except
nice.
for those throwback games that are like, remember this, but they aren't good. So
here's our next question. What are the qualities of a party member that always drive you to include them in your party?
Shoot.
Cool motorcycle.
Hits real hard.
So you're saying basically a party member who's not our main character, right?
Right.
So it's like the main character, the main guy.
Yeah, my big bruiser's got to be in there. Someone
big bruiser. Yeah, I'm thinking big guy who's a tank.
Cool motorcycle.
But then there's characters like Cecil from Final Fantasy IV who just kind of like invented he's like a prototype for the RPG tank because he covers his party members when they're hurt, and he's the main character.
Someone who auto heals when you run low on health. I would definitely put them in the party because then I don't have to worry about it. That's
so
that's one for sure.
Need a healer.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody who can heal. Cecil from Final Fantasy IV can heal, though. He's not the best healer. He's an all-rounder, let's put it that way.
It's got to be something that, like, I feel like the protagonist is, like, whatever their weakness is, which, usually is going to be, like, healing or tanking in some regard. Yeah, whatever they have, like, a blind spot in, it's usually where I want to put my party members at.
When I'm playing Shining Force games, sometimes I think, why don't I just have all of my characters be like centaurs and pegasuses and other beasts that can go really far? And the answer is, there's really no reason not to just use those because they go the furthest and they're the best ones. So
yeah, it's very strange, isn't it?
If there's one that's just the best, I'll definitely put him in my party.
Yeah, a centaur. So that's your cool motorcycle, basically, is what a centaur is.
Cool motorcycle is a horse body in that case.
Be your own cool motorcycle.
I will.
Yeah, use your own meat motorcycle. I once called a horse
And the pinball game Centaur is a guy who's half cool motorcycle.
He is a motorcycle.
Yeah, so
half motorcycle, half heavy metal album cover dude.
Indeed.
So I think basically when we play Final Fantasy, when we were first getting into Final Fantasy XIV, there was just 3 of us and we didn't have any healer. So I feel like the healer is that should be the answer because no one in our group decided to be a healer. We all wanted to be a tough bad butt individual with a weapon, killing people. Nobody wanted to be a healer, and nobody wanted to have any magic at all.
It's hard to find people that want to be healers, I find.
Yeah, healing in Final Fantasy XIV, it turns out, is very fun.
I want to be a healer in Final Fantasy XIV.
Maybe you should.
I'll try that out.
Get on the horse, Jerry.
I might as well
get on the horse.
Get on the Centaur.
Yeah, get in there. Yeah, it's pretty good. If you're going to need, if you have a really nice PC, it'll also be quite helpful.
I have good news. I do have a very nice PC.
Yeah, you could run it at like 1440p, something like maybe 175 hertz. 165. I think you could probably do.
Probably.
You'd have a pretty good time at it. Good game for fun. So I feel like the healer was the one that. So let's put it this way: we can just say magic user is probably like a black magic user is probably not the one that we're all thinking of, right? So maybe that's the real answer: is someone with all sorts of tricky black magic, because none of us went there. And then that's exactly what the game designer listening to our answers to this question would devise all sorts of monsters which require magic use.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get something that I've never felt compelled to use and find a reason to make it cool, the thief or whatever, like thief or stealing class, where you just get the items that you've been hoarding the whole time.
The rogue, the thief.
Yeah, like that. I'm never interested in it, but I believe that it could be interesting. They just somebody's got to do something. They got to do something real cool to make me interested.
Item master.
I mean, how often is it like a thief like really useful in like an RPG?
Almost never.
I mean, if you're playing a game where only a thief can open certain chests and doors, you need a thief in your party.
But I don't like that kind of stuff. That's just like we need a reason for the thief to be useful, and so we did this thing that only they can do. Like, that's not what's cool.
Yeah.
And particularly in JRPGs, right?
Yes, especially.
H-Bomber Guy has a good video about Deus Ex Human Revolution where he shows the wall burst. There's like an ability to break a wall down and get like an item that they bury in the skill tree, and there's like 4 places you can use it in the whole game. That's like very clearly just added right at the end because they're like, we need something to do with this ability that doesn't interfere with anything in the game. That's how thieves feel in RPGs, in my opinion.
I noticed nobody said anything about cute girl or love interest in terms of party building.
Well, no, because if allowed a choice, I always make my main character a girl.
Same.
There you go.
Also, there's not a JRPG out there that's going to lock you off from romancing the cute girl because you didn't pick them for your party. That's
true.
It's what they want to do, and so like it's going to be in there somehow or other.
I'm actually really upset that there's not more JRPGs that are just a team of 4 dudes who are basically the Ninja Turtles, and they have a car and they hang out and cook recipes together.
Yeah.
I'm just upset there's not any of those.
I can relate to that.
So the real answer to the question is Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto. Those are the 3 characters I always want in my party.
That's who you want.
Right? Mm-hmm. I want Gladio. Those are the 3 I want. Cup Noodle Boys.
For this last question, I would like us to establish a canon of worthy 2D successors to Final Fantasy IV-VI.
Worthy 2D successors? What do you mean?
After Final Fantasy VI, the Final Fantasy series went 3D. It changed a lot. But there have been role-playing games since then which have remained in that milieu. What are the successors to the Final Fantasy IV-VI line?
Well, shoot, there's those Trails in the Sky games that people don't stop talking about.
But they're 3D now.
Lost Odyssey?
And they're sort of...
Lost Odyssey, for sure.
Yeah, but that's not 2D.
That's
but
the
successor has to be 2D itself, too. It can't be a successor.
Yes, it has to be 2D.
Because, who done make no 2D no more?
Yeah, there's not enough 2D games for me to pick from nowadays, I don't feel like.
Trails in the Sky lets you rotate the camera, but that's 2D. Look at it. Come on. That's a 2D game. And, I guess the newer Trails are 3D, right?
Yeah.
But those Trails Trails of Cold Steel?
Yeah.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, Cold Steel.
They got to work on those names.
I mentioned it earlier, but Half Minute Hero, there's one. That's one that can slot in there somewhere. It's got 2 dimensions. I feel like, but it's true that the JRPG genre in general has moved on from.
You mean in general?
In general, has moved on from the second dimension, and I don't know. Like, we're gonna have to get into a bunch of indie game nonsense that we're probably not gonna know the names of.
Right. I was gonna say there's probably 6 Final Fantasy like 2D games on the limited run store right now.
Yeah.
Or can we just say that Final Fantasy VI came out in 1994, Final Fantasy VII came out in 1997, Lufia 2. Chrono Trigger. There were Super Nintendo RPGs after Final Fantasy VI.
I'll count them.
Yeah, I'd say Chrono Trigger and Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals. Those are 2 absolute rock solid, stone cold canon RPGs, and they're 2D. I want to say Wild Arms 1 is also a canon RPG. Suikoden and Suikoden 2 are easily canon RPGs.
Yeah.
And they are
They're
post
2D.
Final Fantasy VI as heck.
I would posit Legend of Xanadu 2 on the PC Engine is a good one for this as well.
Mm-hmm. Wait, when did Anearth Stories come out? That was
it was 94, I think. Let me check.
I want to know if it was. I'm trying to get the release. Yeah, I know it was 94, but it's I want to know the exact day. I wonder if it was after Final Fantasy IV or not. Is the problem?
Yeah.
Because, man, that was... okay, the Saturn version was 97. I know that. Say 95. It was 95. Okay, so never mind. That's definitely post... I thought it was 94. Why did I think it was 94? What's wrong with me?
It's the end of 95, no less. Almost 96.
Yeah, excellent then. That sounds good. I would actually say Tokimeki Memorial is a canon RPG post Final Fantasy IV and pre Final Fantasy, or post Final Fantasy VI, pre Final Fantasy VII. I keep trying to say, I keep trying to get this message out there that games like Tokimeki Memorial were not visual novels. This was before visual novel was a thing. It's definitely more of an RPG than.
I always think that Tokimeki Memorial came out in 93, but it sure didn't. It just feels.
No, it was 94. And then less than a year later, it was remade for the PlayStation. 9 months later. Isn't that weird? Full remake for the PlayStation.
Like a baby.
Yeah, it was, it gestated. I would consider that, just for the sake of being a weirdo, I would want to call that a canon RPG.
I would say Albert Odyssey is not one. The end.
What about Tales of Fantasia? Man, the first couple of Tales games, Tales of Destiny 2.
Yeah. Tales of Destiny.
Those are 2D RPGs, and they're beautiful. Tales of Destiny. They're beautiful, man. They're beautiful. You want to know what is not a successor to Final Fantasy VI, though?
Yes.
Is Octopath Traveler.
Yeah,
which,
indeed.
despite having pixel art and being a 2-dimensional game with the 3-dimensional camera angle, we won't hold that against it. Despite its creators speaking quite at great length about how inspired they were by Final Fantasy VI, it absolutely misses everything that's good about Final Fantasy VI.
Is Final Fantasy Tactics a successor?
No. It's also not 2D.
Yeah, it's isometric.
Well, it's also got 3D maps, full 3D maps.
Yeah, it's rotatable. It's rotationable, Joey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to differentiate the difference, or to like actually draw a line in the sand between like what is 2D and 3D, because they made it hard for us back in the old PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era. There were games that were decidedly more 3D than others. Wild Arms 2 has just a beautiful aesthetic in its world maps. Xenogears, right? Those are 2, and Dragon Warrior 7. Warrior 7. I tipped my hand there. Dragon Quest 7 has also, they're just these beautiful, games. And maybe in their day we would have considered them somewhat old looking, but they were just these beautiful looking 2D sprites in a 3D low polygon pixel art textured worlds where it's like, show them to 9 out of 10 kids, Fortnite players today, right? What are they going to say? Are they going to call that a 3D game, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not putting Grandia in here as the number one contender, I think we can't have polygons.
Yeah, I mean, I think Grandia should be in there.
It should, but if it's 2D only, then it can't be.
Well, I'm saying just Grandia 1, not Grandia 2, because the main character is the character in Grandia is a sprite.
Yeah, but the backgrounds are 3D, so.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I think as long as the main character is a sprite, I'll allow it.
Oh, then we got all kinds of nonsense.
Yeah.
But yeah, Grandia is number one.
We're very, squeezed for choice if we don't allow. This is what I'm saying.
But then Dark Savior also has sprite characters, and that's for sure 3D. So
that's a gorgeous.
It's a wiggly zone.
It is a wiggly zone, but it's a zone we're going to have to get out of because we're out of time. It's time for a lightning round.
A Lundrum 1, but not a Lundrum 2.
Oh,
this is where all the chips are on the table, where I craft a game for you to play against each other, and whoever wins usually wins the episode. This week we're playing RPGeography. I'm going to name a city from a video game, and you have to buzz in and tell me which game it's from. Whoever gets the most right gets the point.
I will fail.
Oh, man, I'm terrible at this.
Here we go.
Kill me, Jerry.
Your first city is Evermore.
Oh, from
The Secret
Evermore.
of.
No.
What the?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is there a sequel, like Return to Evermore?
No, Evermore is a city from Ni no Kuni.
Oh.
Ni no Kuni
Well, there you
sucks. I said it.
Harrowgath.
What?
Harrowgath.
Who?
Harrowgath?
Yes, the city of Harrowgath.
It sounds like some Elder Scrolls nonsense to me. I'm going to say an Elder Scrolls.
Harrowgath?
Harrowgath.
The hair of the gath that bit me.
I don't know. Wait, isn't Harrowgath from, it's got that guy whose name I'm always trying to remember. Deckard Cain. Diablo 2?
Diablo 2 is correct.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. There's this character, the guy who identifies your scrolls or whatever, and his name is Deckard Cain. And for some reason, I'm very good at memory stuff, generally. Generally, me memory pretty good. But this guy's name, Deckard Cain, always, slides out of my brain. So when I heard Harrogath, I'm like, is that from the game with the guy whose name I can't always remember? And then I remembered the guy's name. Anyway, sorry.
All right, that's a point
Thank
for
you.
Tim. Your next city is Thunder Bluff.
Thunder Bluff?
Is that Wild Arms?
Is that from Goof Troop?
Nice.
I'm just kidding. I don't know. Thunder Bluff? That's a pretty good name.
Yeah, well, Wild Arms is my guess. I think it's wrong, though.
It's probably from something stupid. Well, it's something I haven't played, I would guess. Something I haven't played.
Frank, you have a guess?
I mean, it sounds like it's not a JRPG. Can I just say that?
Absolutely do not.
All
Is
right.
that worth a 0.25 points? Not a JRPG.
NSP, you got a guess?
No, I have no idea.
All right. The game is World of Warcraft.
Not a
Yeah,
JRPG.
not a
There you
JRPG.
go. Is it worth a quarter or not?
It is
It's
not.
worth a quarter. I think it should be worth a quarter.
Your next city is Vivek, the City of Swords.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does nobody know this?
Nobody
Nope.
knows this one. All right, out of time. Vivek,
It's-
the
it's
City of
from
Swords
Morrowind.
is from, it's from Morrowind. That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know everything about Morrowind, I'm sorry.
All right, Tim
tried
got a
to-
second point.
I was going to let somebody else get that. I'm sorry.
Your next city is Sigil, the City of Doors.
Oh.
That's familiar.
Yeah, is it?
But I don't remember where it is, and so I'm gonna say that it's Resonance of Fate.
Resonance of Fate. That's a really good answer, but it's not right.
Owned.
Right, Jeffy?
Right, it's not Resonance of Fate.
Owned.
Any other
Nobody
guesses?
None for me.
It's, I mean, I know the answer. It's from Planescape Torment. I
That's
played Planescape
correct.
Torment.
Another point from Tim.
Yeah.
Your
Don't
next-
give me too many. Don't give me too many softballs here. Can't believe I never played WoW, but I played these games. This Planescape Torment rules. Everybody, check it out.
Your next city is Divinity's Reach.
Oh, I know that one as well.
I mean, just go for it.
Maybe you can guess. That's from Guild Wars 2.
That's correct.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna pretend not to know the next one.
Fine.
Why?
Then your next
Just
city
do it.
is the Sky City of Bujurba.
What?
Who? A Bouzerba.
Good old Boozerba. I don't know. Sounds like was there a Star Wars RPG? Because that sounds like some George Lucas nonsense.
Yeah, it is. It is from a Star Wars RPG.
By the loosest definition, it's from a Star Wars RPG.
Yeah, it's
I
from an
knew it.
RPG, often criticized as being too
Wait,
Star Wars.
wait. Is that FF12?
It is
It is,
FF12.
It is.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Finally.
Point for NSP.
Let the record show that I said it is before Jaffe said it is. That's got to be worth a quarter. I knew what it
It
was.
is not worth
I'm
a quarter of a
sorry.
point.
No,
your next
it
city,
is. It's worth half a point.
Your next city is Orzammar.
Orzammar.
Okay, good.
I mean, either Tim knows it or we just wait for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one. That's
Yeah, I
from.
think that's what it is.
That's from the first Dragon Age game.
It is from the first Dragon Age game, Dragon Age Origins. It's the dwarf city.
Like, here's the thing. I played that game. I played some of these games. I don't remember any town names from anything. Like, I don't know.
I'm an
Who
idiot who
cares?
is an aspiring fantasy novel author. I like remembering stupid names of stuff. I named my dog Bibbithy Babbis. Right? Like I have this this idiot brain for stupid fantasy names.
I don't even
All right.
remember the names of the towns in Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy 15, which I just played more of last month.
I mean,
Brandon, I don't even know the names of my own kids. Okay,
Blast.
because I've never met them.
I was gonna say there's only like 2 towns in FF15, so
That's right.
there's not too
Yeah,
much to remember.
there's gas station and there's food truck place, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Gas station and food truck place, right?
Right.
Is that them?
That's
More
about
or less.
Exactly.
Oh, there's also a fishing zone.
Your next city is Palimpolim.
it. Final Fantasy IV.
Oh,
Wait, no, 13.
it's Final Fantasy.
13. It's a reference to FF4, but the actual town.
It is
in
a
13.
reference to FF4, but it is
Yeah,
13. I'm
13.
going to give you 1.5 points for that.
Okay.
Your last city is Scala ad Calum.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
That is correct. Another point for NSP. But I'm tallying up the points here, and it seems Tim Rogers is our winner. Congratulations, Tim. You will be picking the first topic for next week.
I
Now
knew
is-
all of those except the WoW one. What the heck? I never played WoW. I never did it. I never wanted to. I treated it like crystal meth. Not even once.
Yeah, I played WoW for 2 weeks, and then I realized what would happen to me if I played any longer, and I stopped right there.
You realized, wow, what would happen to you? Is that what
Exactly. Yeah, that is exactly what I meant. This is the point of the show where people recommend things for our audience to do in between episodes, whether it's to check out personal projects or just to do or see or play something you've been thinking about.
Do, see, play, go, right?
I will start because by the time this episode is out, our new video game, which is in fact a tactics RPG, will have been announced as of a couple hours ago. And it is called Demon School, and you should go take a look at it. Watch the trailer, wishlisted on the Steam. Do something like that, because if this game doesn't do well, time for me to look for a different vocation, is my opinion. So...
try podcasting out, dude.
I'll think about it.
try making videos. Man, you can download Adobe Premiere right now and just kind of get started poking around. I'm an idiot, and all it took was like 6,000 hours to get pretty good at it. I mean, it's check it out, man. Get a leg up. Just get a leg up.
That's what I'm gonna have to do if people don't wishlist the game on Steam. So unless you want that to happen, please wishlist.
I recall you saying you studied film, and I've heard you say this like 12 times. You studied film, but then everything about making films is annoying and boring and bothersome to you.
Yes, correct.
Have you much experience with digital video editing though? Maybe you might.
I do have some experience.
I too have a.
But I still don't like
I was into photography in college, and I just got so caught up in the paraphernalia of it that I just assumed all tasks related to the capturing and the manipulation of images equally possessed tendrils paraphernalia. Though when I got into digital video editing, it just kind of really felt like a thing.
Editing definitely was the part that I liked the most, but I still...
Oh yeah.
It's a grind of its own.
It's a grind. It's all day over here.
Yeah.
I love sending error reports to Adobe, where it's like, what did you do to cause this error?
I don't know.
I pressed Control S, thinking my project would save. Instead, this happened. I have a good time with that.
It's pretty fun.
Just saying, if you don't get the requisite number of wishlist, how many is it you need? 1 million?
A couple few billion. Yeah.
You get 1 billion. As many as Fortnite's got players.
Well, you got one from me.
It's as
Thanks.
free to wishlist a game on Steam as it is to play Fortnite. So
True.
What's anybody's excuse, right?
Yeah, think about
Right?
it.
What's anybody's goddarn excuse?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have a recommendation.
That would be nice.
Buy a nice pair of shoes. I bought myself a pair of shoes for my birthday. I've decided to buy myself shoes for my birthday. I did it last year. Jaffe was there. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. The Indiana Jones shoes.
Yeah. They're called Alden 405s. I only point out that they're Indiana Jones's shoes when someone says they look familiar. Yes, they're Indiana Jones's shoes. I will gladly chip in when they say that. Yeah, I bought those. I bought another pair of Alden shoes for my birthday this year. A little private birthday present. And I gotta say, after having fed somewhere to the tune of $10,000 worth of Nikes and Adidases and New Balances to various worldwide landfills, I find it gloriously beautiful to buy a nice pair of shoes that will outlast me. And I've recommended this on this show before. And I am wearing my Alden leisure hand sewn snuff suede loafers right now as I say this. And they're gonna outlive me. Somebody's gonna have to peel them off my corpse. They're just a perfect nice pair of shoes.
As long as you don't catch that vampirism.
Buy yourself a nice pair of shoes if you have the opportunity to do so. Go buy a used pair of boots if you don't have the money. Just save up for a nice pair that'll last you 100 years if you feel like it. It's just an option.
The boots are pretty good.
Good boots are fantastic. Me and Brandon have never talked about boots before. We should have a boot cast.
We should.
Life with boots.
Sounds like a good bonus episode.
There's hundreds of dudes out there who just have boots YouTube channels.
I believe that.
All they do is post about new boots. I got these boots today. It's like these things are designed to last decades, and you have like 20 pairs of them, dude. Like,
Rude.
What's going on? Come on. Yeah, it's just you're hogging all the cow hide for everybody else.
Frank, what you got?
I just started watching Our Flag Means Death.
Love that
good show.
On HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah, good show.
Taika Waititi.
I'm not going to try to describe why it's good. Just do what I did, which is I saw someone cool on Twitter that was like happy that whatever this show is got a second.
It's got a second season, yeah.
And I just went blind and put it on without reading a description or anything, and had a good time. So I'm not going to say anything further. Just go have a good time.
Yes.
Frank, have you yet gotten to the episode of the show where one character asks another, "Do you fancy a fine fabric?" And then the character replies, "I think I might." Have you gotten to that part?
Think so. I'm only 2 episodes in.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a part where someone asks somebody, "Do you fancy a fine fabric?" And he replies, "I think I might." And that's something that I think of every time I put on my beautiful dead stock rayon Duke Kahanamoku shirt.
You do fancy a fine fabric.
Shouting out Duke Kahanamoku again. And in case anyone doesn't know, yes, that is the shirt worn by Ernest Borgnine in the film From Here to Eternity. Just in case nobody's ever heard that before. I do say, do you fancy a fine fabric? So part of that show, Our Flag Means Death, has entered my bi-weekly vernacular, or is that, is it bi-weekly? What does bi-weekly mean? Does it mean twice a week or every 2 weeks? Oh, we'll find out soon. Thank you. I also recommend you Google that.
Sound off in the comments.
Yeah, English, man.
English sucks.
NSP, where can people check you out?
You can check me out on youtube.com/The Night Sky Prince. You can check me out on twitch.tv/The Night Sky Prince. And on Twitter @NightSkyPrince_, because @NightSkyPrince was taken, and some D-bag, it just like he's not even posting anything.
You gotta find his house. You gotta find his house, bro.
So it was just had to be @NightSkyPrince_, unfortunately. And the Night Sky Prince was too many characters. So that was
You can't have a "the" in your name.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't look right. Yeah, it's not good for the brand.
Yeah, I have to just be a Night Sky Prince, like one of just millions.
A Night Sky Prince. Yeah, just one.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be.
Yeah, they're expendable.
There are verified people on Twitter with the name Alex Jaffe who can't use the name Alex Jaffe on Twitter because I have Alex Jaffe.
Yeah, but you use it, so that's okay.
That's fantastic.
Based.
I've got some recommendations. I would like to recommend that if you're listening to this show on any platform where you can subscribe to or review podcasts, that you engage with us in that way to keep us happy and keep the algorithms happy as well. You could also go to patreon.com/insertcredit, as aforementioned, where you could become a patron to submit your own topics, listen to monthly bonus episodes, and get other surprise exclusive content. You could join our community at forums.insertcredit.com, or follow us on Twitter @insertcredit, or search for Insert Credit on YouTube. This show is edited by Esper Quinn, with original music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
I'm the Night Sky Prince.
And you have now saved your game.
Oh, and Frank, I would like to clarify for Frank that the fancy of fine fabric, I also said today when I picked up my new shoes and I touched the beautiful suede.
Did you say it out loud or?
I said it in my head. I said, do I fancy a fine fabric? As I was putting the shoes on for the first time. So that's how deeply that line has ingratiated itself to my
good one.
My daily speech.
Good
So you're going to be Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, holding beer can, pointing finger at TV.png. When you hear that line, that's going to be you.
Yeah, there it is. He said it. I'm going to applaud.
Yeah, there it is.
It's going to be really confused why I'm applauding.
Now it's going to be stuck in your head every time you put on a piece of clothing that's good or whatever.